Well, good morning and welcome to CityLine. It is great to be in your home. It is kind of a cold, rainy Thursday morning, and that would be October 25th. And we have a lot in store. Later on in the hour, we'll be talking with Haley and Meredith, and they're here to talk about Light Up Your Ride. And this certainly was a morning if you are a cyclist to be lit up. So we'll learn more about that program later on in the hour. And then TMP Family Theater is here. They have a new program and brought some actors from that program. So you parents definitely want to tune into this. And Port of Tacoma, my goodness, they have their 100-year anniversary coming up on November 5th. So we have two gentlemen here to talk about that anniversary and also take us back in time with some really great pictures. And then with me right now, I have a gentleman who is here to talk about South Sound 911. So please join me in welcoming Andrew Neiditz. You are the Executive Director of South Sound 911. Welcome.
Well, thank you, and good morning to you.
Thank you very much. It's good to have you here. Now, my goodness, I don't know if people know that South Sound 911 it's a relatively new agency, and it's got an interesting history that began with a collaboration. So tell us how it came to be.
Well, we are a fairly new agency, and so we're certainly not a household term. So, but in 2011, we were formed by an interlocal agreement, collaboration between the city of Tacoma, Pierce County, the city of Lakewood, the West Pierce Fire District, and the city of Fife. And these five government entities came together to form an alliance that would propose essentially a tax increase to the voters in November of 2011 to provide the financing to establish public safety communications interoperability. That's the key word, interoperability, so that public safety, police, fire, and medical could come together in a unified fashion. So in 2011, the ballot measure was proposed to the people throughout the county. It was approved handily. It wasn't even a close call. And I think it was a sign that the voters in Pierce County believed that we needed to improve public safety communications interoperability. Within a year, we had the city of Puyallup joining the original five, so that we have now 6 local government partners, and we have been operating essentially since 2012.
My goodness, that's boy, if that wasn't a sign that the voters believed, I don't know what was, to put all that together. And you said now you've got 6 in there, so this has got to be one of the largest and busiest 911 centers in the state. So to give our audience an idea of how busy it is, what are the number, how many phone calls do we take, let's say, that come through yearly or weekly?
Well, on the average day, we handle about 2,500 calls, and it's an incredibly busy operation. And of course, the calls are not spaced evenly, so there are peak times when calls are literally coming on top of each other. And we do serve 19 different police departments and 22 fire departments throughout the county. So the population of Pierce County and all of the cities and towns and fire districts in Pierce County are part of the group of citizens we serve that make those 2,500 calls.
Wow, that's impressive. So if that wasn't enough to make it not your typical 911 center, what does make it different besides that?
Well, South Sound 911, in addition to dispatching for all 41 of the police and fire agencies I mentioned, has also inherited the law enforcement record system that was previously controlled by both City of Tacoma and Pierce County. And so we now provide records for all 19 police departments, which is a 24/7 operation that involves about 40 or 50 people who are monitoring warrants or responding to officers' inquiries in the middle of the night. In addition to records, we also do weapons permit applications, and we do fingerprinting, so we have a fairly busy public counter with a lot of public access as well.
Well, you're burning the candle at both ends here in terms of 24-hour data collection, and then you've got the customer service aspect over here, and then in between all these phone calls that keep coming in.
Yes.
Impressive. So when we talk about South Sound 911, the work began in 2012 after the vote. And in the vote, there you were charged with a lot of work on some issues. What's been happening since then?
Well, a lot has gone on in the last 5 years. First and foremost, we have consolidated what previously were 6 separate dispatch centers throughout the county with different entities, different employers, different groups of employees. We merged the Fife Dispatch Center, which supported Fife and Buckley and Ording and Milton, our first year. Our second year, we merged the Puyallup Dispatch Center, which dispatched for Puyallup and Bonnie Lake and Sumner. And then soon thereafter, we merged the FireCom group of employees. FireCom dispatches for all 18 fire departments outside of Tacoma.
Wow.
So we did a lot of organizational consolidation. Tacoma Fire is still somewhat of a standalone, but we work hand in hand with them. In addition to employee consolidation, we moved people. We moved the FireCom group from Lakewood to Puyallup. We moved the Fife and Puyallup group to 35th Street, which is our main center, so that all 19 police agencies are dispatched under one roof. So we did a lot of physical moving as well. We also established for the first time a unified CAD system. CAD is computer-aided dispatch, and we had 6 separate systems before. We now have one unified system so that when a citizen calls, whether it's a fire, medical, or law enforcement matter, it's the same system, the same entry of information that will eventually allow for universal call taking and dispatching so that we have a common platform for CAD. And the most expensive thing we've done over the last 5 years is that in the interest of public safety communications interoperability, again, that's our goal, we put a lot of money into radio improvements. And by a lot of money, I mean $64 million thus far. And what we did with that was we provided upgrades to the city of Tacoma's 800 megahertz radio system. We provided major infrastructure development for Pierce County's 700 megahertz radio system. And then we provided radios themselves for about 4,500 first responders in every police and fire department. So we've spent a lot of capital investment of that new tax measure money on radio improvement. So it's been a busy 5 years.
To say the least. I mean, can you say change?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Change is our middle name.
Change is your middle name. Speaking of change, there's a new building that we have some pictures of here that is of particular interest because it's being built here in Tacoma. So first off, why is it important in your opinion for it to be built? And then how did you choose to have it centered in Tacoma?
Great questions. It's critically important that we get the building built, not just because it's a new building, but it will allow for the first time all of our public safety communications people to operate under one roof.
So Andrew, we have some pictures here. Tell us what we're seeing.
We're looking at the old Puget Sound Hospital,
yes,
which is the 3700 block of Pacific Avenue in Tacoma. We did finance the demolition of 2 large hospital buildings within this past year to create what we feel is a very good site for our new Public Safety Communications Center. And when we achieve this, with construction starting this upcoming summer of 2019, we're eager to have this new building that will house all of our call receiving personnel, all of our dispatch personnel, as well as records and permitting and the other functions. There will be about 250 people who will work in this building. It's a 3-story building, and the core of the building is what I call the comm center floor, in which we'll have multiple consoles for call receiving and dispatching in a unified measure under one roof, which is critically important.
Absolutely.
The building will also have a municipal emergency operations center, as well as training rooms, and it will be a full-service, state-of-the-art facility.
That is impressive. That is incredibly impressive. So we get the building built, we get the people in, everything's housed under one roof, and then what's in the immediate future for South Sound 911 after that?
Well, getting the building built and having the building in Tacoma, as you questioned, is an important part of because Tacoma is certainly in the hub of our most populated areas. Even though we serve as far away as Eatonville and to the east and Gig Harbor to the west, but Tacoma was the perfect location, and we're very pleased to have found a good location for us. What's next for Southside 911 is to actually get our building constructed. We're eager to have construction start in the summer of 2019 so that it can be completed before the end of 2020. We're also in the process of revising our governance structure, which may seem more of a bureaucratic effort to be undertaken, but we are eager to have our 6 local government partners come to a new understanding which would create what is under Washington state law a public development authority. And the proposal is to create an authority so that we'll have more autonomy in terms of incurring debt, in terms of owning our own liability, and in terms of taking care of our own needs. So the governance change is up and running as we speak as a proposal and should be operational within the next few months. The next big step will be moving towards what's called next generation 911. One example is text to 911. Increasingly, there's reliance on data instead of voice as the way people communicate. We're all familiar with young people and even not so young people who text more often than they call.
That's me.
And we are eager to have the capability, as some counties in our state already do have, where we can receive texts. We cannot yet do that, but we're planning within the next several months to be established so that we can do that. And texting is not so much for convenience, it's for people who need to text, either hearing impaired people or people who are in crisis situations where they can't use their voice.
There we go.
For example, a student in a high school maintenance closet with an active shooter outside needs to text instead of call. And so we have seen in other urban areas who have gone to text that it's actually a very positive step forward that is not abused. The motto will be call if you can, text if you can't.
Well, we'll look forward to that. Andrew, thank you so much for taking time out of your obviously very busy schedule as things roll forward with Southside 911. And I want to say that thank you extends to you and to your team and everybody who's touched this program. We couldn't get them all on the couch, but I look forward to that new building, and I also look forward to texting technology, and just thank you for keeping us safe.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having us.
My pleasure. When we come back after just a little bit of musical chairs, the Port of Tacoma turns 100 right here on the couch. You don't want to miss that. We'll be right back.